to this. So, hello, thank you very much for being here today. This is the webinar Celebrate Without the Burn, Surviving the Christmas Season with Reflux. And I thought about doing this because, yeah, a lot of people might feel dreadful instead of the joy of the festive season. It's not easy sometimes to navigate um, the meals and the parties and the drinking if you have a problem with acid reflux or heartburn. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to introduce myself briefly and then perhaps you want to say or share, if you want only, uh, what brought you here. So I'm Nuria Rodriguez from Nuria Nutrition, and I am a nutritional therapist and health coach, full member of BANT, British Association for Nutrition and Lifestyle Medicine, registered as well with the Council, the Complementary Natural Health Council, and I completed the Applied Functional Medicine in clinical practice with the Institute for Functional Medicine. So this is supposed to be, you can ask me questions at any time. Please interrupt me if you want to share now. Let me know what brought you here. If you prefer not to share, that is fine as well. Any thoughts about it or nothing? No, okay, no problem. Oh, we go ahead and we look at the agenda. So we're going to look at acid reflux and why, what happens, why we have it, the causes, some of the causes, why we have it. Also, we're going to touch on post-menopause and what happens in post-menopause time when you have acid reflux. Trigger foods and drinks. Obviously, this is the important thing we're here today for. And what can you eat and drink, and some general tips. Right, okay. That is a bit of a complicated diagram, but I hope it will be helpful. So what is acid reflux and why? I mean, we have, obviously, when we eat and we swallow the food, we start creating some gastric acid in the stomach, which in the graphic is here underneath, so we cannot see it. And sometimes that acid in the stomach can escape upwards, going through the esophagus, even up to your mouth or even nose. So what happens is that the let me see, lower esophageal sphincter, which is this one here, let me see if with the cursor I can, is this one here, gets relaxed. And we can see here that this muscle, which is controlled by the autonomic nervous system, so it reacts involuntarily. So we don't move it voluntarily, but just when we swallow the food, then it goes through another one, which is here. This is the upper esophageal sphincter. We open it voluntarily or partially voluntarily. Food goes down, and then we get sensors and open, goes into the stomach and closes quickly. The problem is when and you can see, sorry, before I go ahead, you can see all this nervous system and even the vagus nerve, how affects the sphincter, the type of muscle that we have there. Also, see in this diagram, this is the diaphragm and this part as well. And the diaphragm supports the muscle, the sphincter. Yeah, that is important for something I'm going to tell you later on. So yes, when the problem is when the function of this muscle is not optimal, and then the acid or the gastric juice escapes, opens, or is too relaxed, or is weakened and goes up. Okay, so what causes or what can cause it? Weight, definitely being overweight, not always, but sometimes it creates that pressure, but not only being overweight, also when you have a normal BMI and you are gaining weight, that can put a pressure um, in the stomach as well and put the pressure on the sphincter. Pregnancy, although this is not the case because we're talking about more acid reflux in postmenopause, but pregnancy, obviously, there is a lot of pressure in all the organs, including the stomach, the sphincter, but also some hormones that we pregnant women have in excess or at higher amounts can relax the sphincter. Smoking, because nicotine relaxes as well and puts the pressure. But not only that, when we are sucking the cigarette, and we can get air in, and that puts more pressure as well in the stomach. Some medication, and this could be like aspirin, definitely contraceptives, HRT, we will talk a little bit more later, ibuprofen, and some medication for bone health as well, among others. I think for, yes, hypothyroidism as well, there's some medication that can give you acid or can promote more acid reflux. Foods and drinks, we'll talk more about it. Eating habits, like for example, skipping meals and then eating too much because you're too hungry, that can promote acid reflux because you put more pressure when you eat more. Or, for example, lying just down after a meal or having snacks or dinner soon before going to bed. And age, and obviously what cannot affect age, many things. But anyway, we don't have to be discouraged for that. But one of the things that happens with age is that the tissue in the esophagus as well becomes less sensitive to the acidity. And we might have other symptoms, like, for example, nausea or even heart or chest discomfort. So watch out other symptoms, not just the acid reflux. Right, okay, so acid reflux in postmenopause. Why it can be even worse with postmenopause? Well, first of all, estrogen, one of the sex hormones that obviously drop down. Estrogen has the capacity of being anti-inflammatory and soothing. So if we already have or we suffer or experience acid reflux and we lose so much, we don't have so much estrogen, then we lose that soothing capacity of it. Progesterone, um, especially for women, obviously it goes down as well, but women on HRT, much of the HRT has progesterone as well. So women on HRT have experienced acid reflux because of that estrogen in the HRT. This is very personal as well. So it's about listening to your body if you are taking HRT. Medication for osteoporosis like alendronate has an impact or might have an impact for some women and men as well because they take it. On the relaxation of the sphincter and the whole of the esophagus. Hypothyroidism, indirectly, it can weaken the sphincter, and as I mentioned before, some medication as well, and cholesterol. Cholesterol because the metabolism of cholesterol when we go through the hormonal transition changes. And cholesterol is one of the substances that um, is metabolized in the liver and is then together is part of the bile that substance that helps digesting the fat. So because if the cholesterol is metabolized differently, and then we have some gallbladder problems, And for example, with the flow of the bile, or we get some sludge, we could have some bile acid reflux, which is also because we have another sphincter, the pyloric, which connects the stomach with the small intestine, and that can be weakened as well. And we can have the double reflux, bile acid reflux, and gastric acid reflux. Okay, so we're going to the drinks. So what's the problems? The problem, yes, the problem is what I said before. Alcohol tends to relax that lower esophageal sphincter. We're going to say less from now on. So it relaxes, and then we take the risk that the acid gastric acid goes up into the esophagus, into our mouth, etc. And also, what is a problem is the excess. I always say drink in moderation. Everybody says that, yeah, not just in general, but because it could a lot or in excess, it could exacerbate the your acid reflux if you have a problem with it. Okay, so the key issues with alcohol. The alcohol is not just that impacts the relaxation or the tone of that sphincter or the less, but also because it has other impact. We know when we get or we drink too much alcohol, we might take choices. We might have choices or make choices that perhaps we wouldn't without alcohol. We might make choices about choosing the wrong food, or the food we don't want, or we know the food that we know is not good for us, or eating even more, or in excess, etc. So we need to take into account that as well. Then the fizzy drinks. Fizzy drinks, we've seen that there is a mild evidence that it can impact in and can worsen the acid reflux for some people. It's just mild evidence. So that is going to be very personal. Again, listen to your body and see if carbonated drinks or are a problem for you. And then the caffeine alert. And here I don't just put caffeine, and in the photo I chose a mocha, because not only the caffeine from the coffee, but also another substance that I wouldn't be able to pronounce from the chocolate has a similar impact as the caffeine. And yes, again, they produce the same they have the same action on the sphincter, in terms of relaxation, um, and we take a greater risk of having acid reflux. And on top of that, if you top it up, your mocha, with lovely cream, and you are sensitive to acid reflux, that could make things even worse. So what to drink instead of those things? Well, definitely there are alcohol-free options. You can have mocktails. Definitely don't choose the ones they are super sweet, or they have added sugar in it. Avoid as well citrus and tomato in your mocktails and in your alcoholic drinks. You can have alcohol-free options, beers, including Guinness. They have nice and surprising nice alcohol-free options. Then if you want to have some alcohol still, you can go for the lower acidity spirits, like the ones gin. By the way, I found out the other day as well that there is a alcohol-free gin, and it is quite good. So it might be a good try. But in general, even if you want to go for alcohol, you can try with gin, tequila, and vodka as well. And avoid carbonated mixers. So like avoiding with other mixing with carbonated things or drinks. But still, if you want to mix it or you want to have carbonated things, stir them before you drink them and let them set for a little while, or even avoid the ice. That would help as well. And if you prepare these drinks at home, take the bottle of the carbonated drink, outside the fridge, open it, let it set for an hour or so, put it back in the fridge before you are going to use it again. Those are some of the things you can do to lower the carbonated effect and lower your acid reflux. And then you can go for dry white wines instead of the more acidic, like the sweet ones, like for example, Prosecco or other sweeter drinks, wines. Right. As I said, if there are any questions, please ask me. No problem, interrupt me. Okay, in terms of food, what is the problem? Well, the problem with food, again, is that some foods and some habits relax the sphincter, the lower esophageal sphincter, or put too much pressure. And also, there are foods that they have substances or constituents, like, for example, the chilies, they have this capsaicin. And what they do, they slow your digestion. So they keep your food for longer time in your stomach. So the risk of escaping up, if your sphincter is not completely toned, is greater. That's why we want to avoid spiced foods, especially chilies. What other foods to avoid? Yes, all the spiced foods, tomatoes and citrus, as I mentioned before. These are foods that people have noticed as well. We've seen it in research. They give them or promote more acid reflux. Chocolate and coffee, for the reasons I mentioned before, and all the fatty stuff, like in dairy, like high fat dairy from cheese, butter, milk, cream. Well, it's delicious, I know. But if you have acid reflux, it can be a problem. And also, in general, all the high fat foods, because as I mentioned, in addition to relaxing the sphincter, they have an impact in the bile, they might have an impact in the gallbladder, and then it can promote bile acid. So you have double reflux. What foods to eat and how to eat it? Well, definitely you want to avoid the fats as much as possible. So you want to avoid fried foods. Go for roasted, baked, steamed as well. Choose gravies over creamy or butter sauce. Especially those cheese, lovely, fantastic ones. I know they are great, but uh, they're not that great for, they taste great, but they are not that great for reflux. For pudding, choose berry sorbets. Perhaps, as I mentioned before, avoid the lemon sorbet, yeah, because it's a citrus, but go for berry sorbet instead of a rich pudding, or even you can go for an apple pie instead of without any cream instead, or uh, fruit salads, or poached pears, or compotes, things like that. And also have plenty of herbs instead of spices. And as I mentioned before, low fat foods. Avoid them as much as you can. And these are general tips. What can you do? Okay, first of all, you can start with a starter strategy. And perhaps you choose lighter dishes for starter and in general, but definitely as a starter. And you can choose perhaps a salad, nice, with a nice sauce, um, but it has plenty of, especially salad leaves, those, and even rocket. They are bitter, and bitter foods support the digestion and promote peristalsis, or promote moving the food along the digestive system. Um, so that will be helpful to help reducing the acid reflux. Also, mindful eating and chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing. This is going to definitely, first of all, you're going to eat slower, and it's going to promote optimal digestion. And especially At this time when we are going to eat with people, we're going to talk to people, socializing over the table. We're not in a rush. So take time to eat and don't feel obliged that you need to eat a lot because there is plenty on the table. Even if you go to a party, just eat something, some good foods before you go to the party so you're not going to eat that much when you get to the party. And venue selection, yeah, that is another point. Choose restaurants. If you go out, choose restaurants that have foods that are going to support your digestion and acid reflux, and things like Japanese restaurants or Mediterranean, and try to avoid Indian restaurants with very, very spiced foods, and even Italian with the creamy sauces, creamy pastas, and things like that. And if you know the restaurant, you can even check the menu in beforehand and make sure that you know what you're going to choose. Even you can even make your own dish and pick and choose things that they have at the restaurant, perhaps. Right. So, yeah, okay. So we're getting to an end. What are the takeaways? Takeaways are definitely listen to your body and know what foods are good or worse for you. Choose a light courses, enjoy the celebration with nice light food. Eat very slowly, chew a lot, take time to eat. Um, Also, when we eat slower, we savor more the food and keeps us more satisfied as well. And we give time to the food to arrive or to the sensation of the stomach. Um, that food is coming, and also that we became full eventually. So give it time, eat slowly. Definitely drink in moderation, not too much. And if you want to drink, we told some options. And if you want to top up your meal with something soothing like chamomile or ginger tea, that would be fantastic. That would help preventing any acid reflux or making it better if you already have. Okay. I wanted to say that, or yeah, this is my process. The process I use uh, in my programs, some of my programs to support women in postmenopause. And the first D is for digest for comfort and absorption. So what we've seen is just a tiny bit of, yeah, something small we do as part of the process when it is needed by my clients. So there's much more to do, obviously. And yeah, this is my final invitation that stands for feel invited, not obliged. And so, if you want to know more about your personal situation, or you want to know more about how this process work, uh, yeah, please feel invited to have a free nutritional health assessment with me, and I would be able to understand better what the issues with you and give you an overview of what you could be working on. Great. And yeah, Q&A, question and answer, anything. Yeah, if there is any question.
I do not have any questions. Hi, Nuria. I'm Nuria as
Hi.
well.
Hello.
I do not have any questions as such. I think that you know, the PowerPoint has been very clear. But I wanted to point out that I really like the way that you describe what we can do about it. So we can plan our meals. So rather than to be rushing of what I cannot do, I have a clear plan of what I can do. So, and I think that for me is the key. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. I'm really pleased that was a good thing. And I have to say also that because you came live, you're going to have a handout.
Thank you.
Yes, so if yeah, you can see the things again and a bit more in detail, perhaps. Lovely, great. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Nuria, for coming, and thank you very much for your comments. And for anybody that is uh, watching this in reply, please contact me if you have any question. All the best and happy Christmas and happy festive season to all. Bye.